A very good morning to everybody. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Amit for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this instruction course. I will be speaking on pediatric cataracts, and I will be giving a brief overview in 12 minutes. So basically, cataract in children is different from adults, that we all know, and it not only blurs the retinal image, but it also disrupts the development of visual pathway, which is different from adults, in which the visual pathway is already developed. So it constitutes around 10 to 40% of the total childhood blindness, and operating one childhood cataract is equal to operating 10 adult cataracts in terms of the blind years saved. Okay, so what exactly would be the ideal management for a pediatric cataract? So apart from the first and foremost thing is early intervention, and second thing is after the surgery, early rehabilitation, a very long-term follow-up. It's a teamwork. Anesthesia is mandatory, and surgical expertise is absolute. So it is more complex than in adults. Amblyopia, we all expect it, and it is imminent in our infants. Aphakic correction and amblyopia therapy, we all know, are more difficult than doing the cataract itself. And parents are often unable to attend the follow-up. With the changing refractions, they need to attend the follow-ups. And other problems are neonatal anesthesia, which is not readily available. And often these children may be having congenital rubella syndrome, cardiac problems, metabolic problems, chromosomal abnormalities. So what are the surgical options which are available with us when we deal with a pediatric cataract? Now, lensectomy with antravitrectomy, it is not much of an option if there is no problem with the zonules and everything else is normal. Mainly the option remains is extracapsular cataract surgery or as a small incision cataract surgery with posterior capsulotomy plus antravitrectomy, with or without IUL. Now, surgical procedure of choice, it's quite a lot of debate whether you should put an IUL under 2 years, under 3 years, under 1 year. So I would be talking mostly what I am doing at present. So under 1 year of age, bilateral cataracts, I normally tend to not put an IUL and do a plain extracapsular cataract surgery with posterior capsular rhexis plus antravitrectomy, which is mandatory. In a unilateral cataract, if the corneal diameter and axial length permits, I would definitely put an IUL and do a posterior capsular rhexis with antravitrectomy. More than 1 year of age, obviously the surgical choice for me at present is putting an IUL and doing a posterior capsular rhexis. And corneal diameter is very important in pediatric cataracts, because if the corneal diameter is less than 10.5 or 11, it is better not to put an IUL. Now, what are the problems with the pediatric cataract surgery per se? There is low scleral rigidity. The elastic anterior capsule makes it difficult to do a central CCC. Changing refraction after the surgery, surgical expertise, maintaining the entry chamber, post-operative visual rehabilitation, and importantly, the posterior capsular opacification, which is almost 100% within 1 or 2 years post-surgery, and amblyopia. So we'll be mainly talking about the surgical aspect and very less about the rehabilitation. Now, what are the indications of surgery in pediatric cataract? Total cataracts, of course, you don't have a choice. It's an absolute indication. It is mainly the partial cataracts where we feel whether the surgery is to be done or not. So in partial cataracts, you have to look for the visual acuity if the child is cooperative enough. If the child is less than 2 years of age, not cooperating for visual acuity, you have to see for his behavior, for his fixation pattern, presence of strabismus, nystagmus. A good trick in this is that you have to use your retinoscope, and if you can get an endpoint in retinoscopy, then, and if the cataract opacity is less than 2 millimeters or 1 millimeter, you may buy some time. But if you yourself don't get an endpoint on your own retinoscopy, the central retinoscopy, then it is better to operate the child. Now, wound construction and closure, you have to follow the principles which have already been talked about of small incision cataract surgery, a good scleral tunnel. But the problem in pediatric cataract is that the sclera is thin and elastic, and there is repeated globe prolapse, there is increased vitreous pressure. All these things lead to anterior chamber collapse, and this makes the CCC very difficult. Post-surgery, we have to close all the ports, side ports, central port with 10-0 nylon at least till the age of 11 years. I do it till 15 years of age, but at least till 11 years we should do it. A self-sealing tunnel is obviously sufficient in adults. We have seen a lot of videos, but low scleral rigidity is a problem post-operatively in children. We all know that the scleral tunnel was devised to withstand internal pressure, but not in a pediatric cataract, it is possible that because of low scleral rigidity, the one-way valve may open up, there may be fish mouthing, and something from outside can go in. The internal lip is tightly sealed, but still something can, since the sclera is elastic, something can go from outside to in. So low pressure is a problem in children and not the high pressure as we normally think in adults. Anterior capsular access is the most important step in pediatric cataract surgery. I was listening yesterday to a session on multifocals, and I heard that half the battle is won if you do a good CCC. It is very, very similar and very, very true in pediatric cataract. Anterior capsular access is the most important part of pediatric cataract. If you can do a good anterior capsular access and put IOL in the bag, almost 60 to 80% of your complications are gone away. Post-op inflammation, all the problems are basically because it's difficult to do anterior capsular access, and believe me, a posterior capsular access is much more easier compared to anterior capsular access because there is an elastic lens capsule which requires more force for tearing. Shallowing of AC keeps on happening. There is a posterior pressure, there is a thin sclera, anterior chamber is collapsing. So what I do is I try it with a cystitome. If you are not able to do, or if you feel that rhexis is running away, use a high molecular viscoelastic, use the forceps, and try always to aim to make a small capsular access. Believe me, when you do a small capsular access, at the end of the surgery, you will find out that it has become quite a significantly large capsular access. If you aim at a 4.5 millimeter access, you will end up with a 5.5 millimeter capsular access. Okay, now the second problem is posterior capsule. Posterior capsular opacification almost occurs in all the patients within 2 years of post-op surgery. So posterior capsular access again is one of the most important aspects of pediatric cataract. You can do it prior to IOL implantation, or you can do it after IOL implantation. What I do, I do it after putting the IOL, because I believe that putting IOL in the bag in a pediatric cataract is most important. Posterior capsular access, if you are not able to do, it's alright, but you have to put IOL in the bag. It should not be that you do a posterior capsular access and then fail to put IOL in the bag. I will be showing a video of stuck IOL that can happen when you are putting the IOL, when you're putting a foldable IOL and you're not able to put it in the bag. You can do a manual posterior capsular access, or you can use your retractor. There is a study available by Dr. Pandey et al. who suggested that sulcus fixated IOLs have more chances of post-operative inflammation and pupillary capture. So in the bag, IOL placement is the most desirable thing. Okay, IOL power calculation, again, there are plenty of formulas. So when, in medical profession, when we don't have answer, we have lot of suggestions and lot of answers. Everybody has an answer, so I also have my answer. What I do is, under 1 year of age, I don't put IOL, so I don't really worry about it. 1 to 2 years of age, I do a 30% undercorrection, and post-op retinoscopy, I aim it to be around 5 to 6. 2 to 5 years, I just do a 10% undercorrection. I have my own series. I have seen that about 2 years of age, there is not very big change in the refraction. Above 5 years of age, I don't do any undercorrection. If you see that there is a large change occurring post-operatively after the surgery, you have to keep in mind post-op glaucoma, measure his axial length, see his disc. There is a good chance that patient may be actually developing a low-tension subclinical glaucoma. Choice of IOL, foldable, hydrophobic IOL, single-piece IOL. If you don't have that, you can put a foldable IOL. If you don't have that, you can use a single-piece PMMA with modified C-loops. Optic diameter bigger is better in pediatric cases because there is always a chance of optic capture. Topical corticosteroid post-op, oral corticosteroids. If you have done a posterior capsular access and if you feel that there is a lot of inflammation, pediatric cataracts, the talk should be limited on surgical aspect. But when we talk about pediatric cataract, as a pediatric ophthalmologist, we always talk about post-op care because the whole story starts once you do the surgery. Not like adult cataracts where the story ends with the surgery. Everything begins the day you operate the child. So you have to prescribe glasses when, as soon as possible. How much? If the child is less than 2 years, give him total correction. If the child grows up, you give him bifocals. Contact lenses for aphakia are a possibility. No, they are definitely used successfully. Children do accept high hypermetropic glasses more readily than adults. Patching needs to be done aggressively as soon as possible in unilateral cataracts, and this is the follow-up regime which we follow when we operate a pediatric cataract. This is mainly what I learned from Arvind Eye Hospital. Up to 2 years of age, once in 3 months. This is what we used to follow in Arvind Eye Hospital. 2 to 5 years, once in 6 months, and after 5 years, 6 monthly or yearly. So this is what I follow still. These are the things which you should do at each post-op time. You should see the visual acuity, visual axis, fixation behavior, strabismus, IOP measurement, fundus examination, and axial length. Don't forget IOP and axial length. Post-pediatric cataract glaucoma is a reality. The incidence rate varies from 8 to 35%. So that's a huge number. A lot of patients do develop glaucoma. The patients who develop huge myopic shift may actually be having a subclinical glaucoma. Okay, I'm just concluding my talk, showing some videos. These are 5 videos. One of the videos has posterior capsular access before putting the IOL. One of the videos shows posterior capsular access after putting the IOL. One of the case shows the IOL is stuck. It was a foldable IOL, axis of single piece. I injected the IOL. This particular case is a posterior capsular plaque. Okay, so in the video on the upper right, you can see that the glow was not good. I used the dye, the glow became worse, and the central video shows the IOL, which was the foldable IOL. It never opened. So that is one reason I would use in my support for not doing a posterior capsular access before putting the IOL. This can happen to anybody, And there is another case on the lower left, which shows a lens abscess. And on the lower right, you can see a video of a child in which we did posterior capsular access before inserting IOL. And the upper left, the topmost video shows a posterior capsular plaque in a traumatic cataract. What I'm trying to say is that sometimes we feel that these plaques are very much adherent and they cannot be removed. You will see at the end of the surgery that you can easily peel them off from the posterior capsule. So you can see the central video, the IOL is stuck, the haptic is stuck on the optic, and I had to actually fish out the whole lens in the entry chamber to just remove the optic from the haptic which was stuck. So I cannot possibly do it if I have already removed the posterior capsule, done a vitrectomy.